The triumphant return of Skeuomorphism, an After Effects plugin the Terminator would love, and there's a new puppet master in town. It's Motion Mondays. Well, this is odd. Whose arm is inside of me? Sebastian De Guy, creator of Substance 3D and former head of 3D at Adobe, has partnered with digital puppeteer Ryan Corniel to launch Sans String Studio.
Hope is where your nuts are, right?
Their YouTube channel showcases the wild puppet designs and animation style Ryan's been pioneering on social media over the past couple of years. This blend of human performance with puppetry and 3D animation is exciting because when new technologies like real-time 3D emerge, commercial applications aren't always obvious. But this seems like a brilliant move that unlocks creative options for shows, movies, and content. Since it's all done in Unreal Engine, you get creative possibilities that would be nearly impossible if physically shooting. And the applications for kids programming are endless and obvious. I recommend checking out their hilarious and creative videos on the Sans String Studio YouTube channel. Make sure you're following them because I have a feeling they'll produce some pretty cool work once the industry realizes what this technology enables. Big congrats to Ryan and Sebastian. We've been talking about Ryan for a while on Motion Mondays, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. Two killer events for motion designers on the horizon. Camp MoGraph 2025 takes place September 11th through 15th at Virginia Beach, and tickets are still available. I have never in my life heard such unanimously positive reviews of an event. Literally 100% of people who have attended say it's one of the greatest experiences they've had and unlike any other conference. The 2025 lineup is stacked with artists like Blake Catherine, Luis Miranda, Byron Stanford, executive producer Marin Hayes, and our buddy Ryan Summers, and more. Also, Motion Plus NYC is happening June 14th in the Big Apple with an incredible lineup of speakers. The headliner is none other than Andrew Kramer himself from videocopilot.net.
Okay. Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here, Video Copilot.
Also on the roster are amazing artists like Joyce N. Ho, Felix Soltic, and even our own EJ Hassenfratz. You'll be inspired, learn new techniques, network with peers, and you'll be in New York. So if you want to swing down to Peter Luger and get some greasy steak, it is yours for the taking. Grab tickets at the link in the description. Our All Access program has officially launched with over 1,300 members and climbing in our new community. With the ability to take any course at your own pace, you can learn Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Cinema 4D, Blender, Unreal, Rive, design, animation, 3D, visual effects, expressions, illustration, and much more than that, believe it or not. Our one-of-a-kind platform gives you unlimited critique from professional motion designers on every project you submit, access to our incredible worldwide community, and live events, including our recently launched monthly workshops. We just did our first one with School of Motion art director Frank Suarez, breaking down a cool title sequence for an upcoming course. All Access students get to participate in these and watch all the recordings. We're making All Access the best online learning community for designers and animators on the planet, and with 7 courses currently in production, we're on a mission to make sure our students can learn anything they might need to succeed in this industry. Get all the details at schoolofmotion.com. We hope to see you in class. Adobe has launched a pretty cool initiative called the Adobe Creative Apprenticeship. It's essentially a paid internship with real companies, but there are steps you need to take to be eligible. First, you need a Behance profile with at least 3 projects. You connect your PayPal or Stripe account so you can accept payments. Adobe asks you to complete at least one of their career courses on the Behance site. Then you'll need to complete an Adobe commissioned project, and these are actually commissioned and paid by Adobe to artists who apply to complete them. There's a list of current commissions on Behance link in the description for things like creating designs, event photography, graphics, and tutorials. Adobe is paying pretty well. You can see the budget right on the page. Once you've completed a project, you unlock the Creative Apprenticeship and can apply to open positions on the site. This is a pretty amazing initiative from Adobe. It's really smart because in the end, people learn Adobe tools both because they're artists who want to learn the tools, but also because they want to get paid for their skills. This is a very smart way for Adobe to close that loop within their community. We are always on the lookout for new sources of inspiration, and the geniuses at Envato have created a very cool tool called Inspo-Gen. You can think of it like an artist-curated Pinterest. Real artists have actually curated this collection. What's really cool is you can scroll around the site, and when you find something interesting, you can click into it. Inspo-Gen's algorithm, I assume there's some AI behind the scenes, finds other work with similarities. This way you can quickly put together mood boards, and if you want to see exactly where the work came from, they've helpfully created an interface that lets you view the source. It's an amazing way to discover new artists, get inspired, and find art directions you weren't expecting. If you create a free account, you can even save boards of images you like. Inspo-Gen calls these images sparks, and there are thousands curated in different styles from illustration to photography to graphic design. Head over to Envato's site for Inspo-Gen and start clicking around. I really think you're going to enjoy this. Time to feature some amazing work from around the industry. First up is Hitoshi Morita's experiments with Cinema 4D and After Effects, which blur the line between 3D and 2D. Hitoshi has been posting these daily on LinkedIn, and it's honestly sometimes tough to tell what's 2D and what's 3D. I'm sure there's a combo of techniques here, maybe some toon shading, probably some clever compositing and After Effects post-render. He's developed a really nice style with grain, dithering, and satisfying loops. I really love work where you can't tell how it was made. It transitions seamlessly between 2D and 3D, and making something this busy but still easy to watch is really difficult. Next up, Murilo Almeida from Brazil posted a brand new reel that first caught our eye because turn your head sideways just for a moment. He posted it in 9:16 on Instagram, rotated 90 degrees. It's so good though that I went and found a 16:9 version, and my lord is the work incredible. This is honestly what you want your reel to look like. Strong typography, strong design, lots of how did he do that moments, and a mix of frame rates and styles. His website also breaks the traditional grid format in a way that actually works and invites exploration. Finally, from Istanbul, Etem Cem and Uğur Baltepe created main titles for a show called Aleph. Reminds me of my bar mitzvah a little bit. What I really like is how moody they've made these 3D renders, creating compelling compositions that fit perfectly with the detective thriller's theme. It blends Turkish cultural elements with modern title sequences and film noir conventions. We don't often hear about amazing artists from Turkey, so we were more than happy to feature their work. Sarah Beth Morgan just launched Ghost Frame, a RadioLab-Style animation podcast that's raw, interesting, and thought-provoking. She discusses her current career crisis, challenges of becoming a mom as a freelancer, and much more. I think a lot of the things she talks about are on everyone's mind, and the production value and format are next level, a very fresh take on the animation podcast concept.
It's quiet, but the air sizzles with suspense. What's behind each door? Where will each path take you? Maybe one opens to reveal your past life, a visual list of all the steps you've taken so far.
She also came on our podcast last week to talk about her recent work and producing Ghost Frame. Check out episode 1 and subscribe. It's awesome, and I cannot wait for episode 2 to drop next week. The U.S. Copyright Office released a report that could influence future court decisions on AI training legality. They acknowledge that using copyrighted works to build training datasets clearly implicates the right of reproduction, making it presumptively infringing unless fair use applies. The report examines whether AI training is transformative, a key fair use factor, noting that it depends on how the model is ultimately used. They also reject the argument that AI training mimics human learning, pointing out that humans retain imperfect impressions while AI makes exact copies at superhuman speed. Most interestingly, they introduce a market dilution theory that AI-generated content can flood markets with work that competes with original materials through sheer volume or stylistic imitation. While this is legally untested, it could become a significant factor in future court cases. Now, this doesn't mean the end of AI models, but it does suggest companies relying solely on fair use defenses may face challenges. For now, if you're using AI tools, be cautious with client work and ensure that they're comfortable with any potential risks. This is a super complex topic that will continue evolving through the courts, and we will definitely keep you posted. Google launched Material Design 3, the third version of their open source design system. For motion designers, the most interesting part is their motion physics system, essentially a set of rules, guidelines, and specific easing values for animating Google products. The site demonstrates exactly how things should move with specific animation easings and durations in milliseconds. When something needs to animate with overshoot or anticipation, Google calls these springs, they provide precise values. They even offer an After Effects easing panel with all of these presets built in. There's also detailed guidance on transitions between screens and states. While much of this applies to apps and websites, it will influence Google's broader brand design, advertising, and, because Google products are everywhere, the motion design industry at large. It's a testament to how valuable good design and motion has become to major brands, and I think it's worth checking out. Our School of Motion student of the week is Cody Nitcher, a Dallas-based motion designer and video editor currently taking advanced motion methods. He's been working on the motion design DNA assignment with TA Mahmoud Fazi, providing amazing critiques. This is a tricky assignment with many moving parts. It's not entirely clear from the designs, courtesy, by the way, of the brilliant Laura Alejo, how to transition between shots. And there are lots of layers and pre-comps to manage, but somehow, Cody has managed to do it with style, great transitions, and fluid movements. Great job, Cody. We can't wait to see your final work as you complete Saunders' very challenging course. There's a nifty new After Effects plugin in town. Sometimes new tools drive visual trends. I can remember when Plexus came out and suddenly everybody was using Plexus. When optical flares released, everything had lens flares in it. I was guilty of that. I don't know if that'll happen with Tracery, but it does seem like one of those types of plugins. Available on aescripts.com and 25% off until May 24th, Tracery automates color-based tracking and generates detailed, customizable overlays on footage. It gives you that machine vision Terminator heads-up display look with tons of customization options. You won't need this plugin for everything, of course, but when you need this specific look, it'll save you hours of work versus generating everything by hand. I think it'll be handy for futuristic, glitchy projects. Some sad news. VFX and Chill is ending.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
The YouTube series from Seth Worley, Daniel Hashimoto, and Michael Zalapsky will have its finale on May 23rd at 11 a.m. Pacific. Join them live to send these heroes off with the love they deserve. I've been a huge fan for years. They've been creating amazing tutorials plus viral hits like Mission in Hospital, e.g. The Extra Gremlins, and, of course, Top Gun Doubtfire. Seth recently found success with his feature film Sketch, and both Hashi and Michael are incredibly talented, so I can't wait to see what they do next. Airbnb's redesign leans heavily into skeuomorphism. The icons and imagery move away from the simple 2D line work we've seen everywhere for a decade. I actually predicted this return in our end of the year podcast last December. When I saw the teaser for their new look, I assumed they were using Lottie or RAW files for the icons. I was stunned to learn that developer Ramon Frisch actually created an entirely new video format for Airbnb called Lava. This solves several challenges with rasterized content: transparency, frame control for pausing and rewinding, fast preloading, GPU rendering, and cross-platform compatibility. It's currently closed source at Airbnb, but they have a history of open sourcing. They actually created V1 of Lottie, believe it or not. My personal plea to Brian Chesky, please release this publicly. It could be incredibly useful if tools like After Effects and Rive implement it. I think it's gonna make animated skeuomorphism a thing, and I want it to be a thing. And that's it for this episode of Motion Mondays. Make sure to check out all the links in the show notes if anything caught your eye. If you're curious about our all access program, head to schoolmotion.com to learn all the details. We're having a blast in the community and our students are learning a ton. It is the most engaged group I've ever been a part of. Reach out to our team if you have any questions, and EJ, we'll see you next week.